Some of you may remember the content I created about my investments or how you can make money whilst you sleep, my plan, and we've just finished January, so I thought I would give you a brief update, and I'm going to continue to give you an update because I've seen a lot of investment content online talking about what people are doing with their portfolios, and that's obviously lovely to see, but I haven't seen any that have sort of documented what they're doing as they've began with really low balances in that respect. I may not get to the point of showing you my balances, but keep in mind that they are lower because we're only 1 month in. But I started investing in January 2025. It's currently the 8th of February 2025, and I need to give a very clear disclaimer because I am talking about investments. So the very clear disclaimer is as follows: everything I'm going to say in this following video should not be taken as financial advice and is purely me sharing what has and has not worked personally for me. As I learn more and more about personal finance, I wanted to share what I'm learning, etc. I think the key, as I already alluded to in my previous video that I'll link up here if you're interested, but I think the key is to really understand your mindset firstly, to have a long time horizon and set up financial processes and systems to allow you to be able to move forward and be able to continue to invest for the long term and not be in a position where you have to sell in market funds at maybe an opportune time. So I have done in my last video talking about this, speaking about how to build emergency funds and what you should do for kind of more financial health benefit before doing this. I'll leave that linked for those who may be interested. But a quick recap before you make any investment specifically, one of the best things you can do, in my view, to increase the likelihood of your income is by gaining more skills and understandings, and you should always go out of your way to invest in knowledge, training, and more views and understanding in that respect to be able to better your craft specifically. Followed by, whenever possible, living in as a frugal mindset as humanly possible, so that your gap between your income and your expenses is going to be larger, which will then allow you to have more disposable income to be able to invest specifically. So personally, I invest around 50% of every invoice that I get paid at the moment. I've gone into details in previous videos, but very, very quickly recap: 20% goes into my savings and 10% goes into my cash ISA, followed by 10% into my stocks and shares ISA, and then followed by 10% going into crypto that I would count as a more high risk investment. So what has personally changed outside of the fact that I've also now opened a SIP, which is a self-invested personal pension pot for the tax benefits that I actually got from Martin Lewis, ironically. So that was a great watch the other day. I haven't actually invested any money into my SIP yet. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do, whether I'm going to do part of each invoice or whether I'm just going to do a X amount at the end of every month or etc. But I think my goal for the first 6 months of this year is to ensure that I have 6 months worth of living expenses in my emergency fund, as well as also me paying out for a couple of business costs and etc. That's what my savings account is being used for, and also I'm currently learning to drive as well, so all of those costs are coming out of my savings account specifically. And then once I've kind of built my full emergency fund, so that's 6 months of all of my business expenses plus all of my business expenses as well, I then am kind of thinking about essentially putting 10% of what I would normally put into that savings account into what I'm going to call a kit fund specifically, which is going to allow me to obviously have a cash pot to invest in new lenses, invest in new tripods, drones, equivalent stuff for the business that will then infinitely help me make more money and offer more to my clients, or I'll be in a position where I can put 10% into my SIPs, followed by 10% into a kit fund. Not 100% sure yet. I'll probably update you when I do next month's video if I'm a little bit more full on clarity. I've also added a brand new pie into my trading 212 account after catching up with a good friend, so full credit to them. If you're watching this video, thank you very much for that pie itself. I'll leave both links to both pies that I'm now using down in the description down below. But I also updated my personal UK and UX mix pie that I shared in last video as well. And I've removed all my ETFs from that, and that's because I now have an ETF pie specifically, so that's where all my ETFs, all the money for my ETFs are going. And what I'll be doing is I'll basically, whenever I invest into the Trading 212 stock ISA, I will basically be splitting whatever I'm putting in. So I'll be putting, say, 5% of the full invoice amount, because I'm only putting 10% into that Stocks and Shares ISA, but then I'll be splitting that 10% again in half, so that 5% goes into each pie, and that allows me to diversify that risk specifically. I also added Real Estate Income, which is an American trust fund that pays out on a dividend, because I wanted to diversify the UK/US mix to be a little bit more of a to have a mix between growth stocks and also dividend stocks as well. So Relative Income looked like a good option for the dividend side of that portfolio as well. Moving into my higher risk investments, or my higher fluctuation investments, as I'm looking for at the moment, and is a key example of this because at the moment we've had a very bad week in crypto. But my crypto holdings specifically, nothing has specifically changed in regards to the plan that I'm planning to use, outside of we have a week or so up and down, as I said before. It's just a test of your own psychology and making sure that you have a good financial system where you've got money in other places to allow you to not really worry about whether your crypto is going down, because you're holding for the long haul. I'm also at the moment staking a lot of my Ethereum to basically allow and basically create a level of dividend that's how I'm thinking about it anyway. And as I buy more Ethereum, I'll then continue to stake, where and creating that snowball effect to basically earn. It's basically how that works is you add. It's basically how I see it as a dividend. So you will share a percentage or all of your ETH to then be used to confirm transactions on the blockchain, and then once in that process, depending on how much ETH you're given, you're paid back in a percentage of what you stake, right? So it's a way where you can basically use your ETH to make more money. Obviously, the risks or the concerns around it, not financial advice, but the risks and the concern about it would be that you're not going to be able to sell your ETH in that respect as well, and I believe there's some other risks that can go into it as well, but I'll leave some resources down below if I can find any, and/or I would recommend that you do your own research in that respect as well. And finally, as I said, personally, I've also created a net value sheet that will allow me to track where my bank accounts are, where my overall kit value is, so as I add more kits to the list, and also then what investments, deposit pots, and etc., to see how I'm doing, to just keep that tracked specifically. But that's kind of the update for January. We're very, very early in my investment journey, so as and when I learn more, I'll be sure to share it. But thank you ever so much for coming back and joining me. If you'd like to see some behind the scenes content, I've just at the time of filming posted a brand new interview day that we did a couple of weeks ago, so if you're interested in that, I'll leave it in the description and in the card above, so make sure to go to the channel and check that out. Also got a new social media show coming as well, so if any of that sounds interesting, and or you want to hear more about finance and how to make more money as a videographer as well, then I'll be doing some more videos talking about that as well, gear reviews, etc. So I'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. Thank you ever so much for coming back and joining me, and I'll see you very, very soon.